Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode, I will discuss the astrology for the week of August 17th, 2025. I am having a free webinar on August 31st about Eclipse Season, offering insights and tools. It's called Anchored in the Storm. So reserve your spot today, and I will do as many hot take natal chart readings as I can. So it's best to come live if you can. There's a link in the show notes, or you can go to my website, astrologybyceleste.com. Let's take a look back at astrology in action. And we have an excellent example of how the lunation cycles unfold. On July 24th, we had a new moon in Leo opposite Pluto in Aquarius. Oppositions come in through other people. The new moon has the sun, which is the leader, and the moon, the people together. And the president of the United States is a Leo rising with his Mars, how he takes action, and his Pluto, desire to assert power, are all in the sign of Leo, which can be king-like and just make proclamations. On August 3rd, which was a little bit over a week after the new moon, one of the Doge staffers, whose nickname is Big Balls, was allegedly injured and beaten up in attempted carjacking where a phone was stolen and he was trying to help a woman, is the story. 2 people have been arrested. They're teenagers, and his name is Edward Korestein, and they showed his picture looking all beat up and bloodied on Fox News. And Mercury was retrograde. Retrogrades can bring problems, and the nature of this Mercury retrograde, attacks were more likely. And on the day this happened, the moon in Sagittarius was opposite Uranus in Gemini. So someone trying to steal a car and a phone makes sense with the astrology. And on the day Mercury went direct, just after the full moon in Aquarius, which shines lights on groups and associations, the president federalized Washington, D.C. The National Guard, as well as 15 government agencies, put officers on the streets of Washington, D.C. under the guise of protecting people against crime. But one of the first things authoritarians do is use the military in the streets of a country. So the military hasn't been sent out yet, but this is a test. They are talking about putting through legislation to make 14-year-olds face adult consequences for crimes. So changing the age of responsibility to 14. And many red states are trying to also allow adults to have sex with 14-year-olds. So allowing grown men to engage sexually with 14-year-old children is a big push. And as well, be able to be married. A 14-year-old getting married is insane. So there's this desire to be able to lock up, especially young Black and brown people, as well as marry, have sex with, and whatnot with young girls. The Birthdate Company makes amazing products, and I am a proud affiliate. I especially love the Birthdate book, It's a fully personalized, beautiful, and unique reading of your birth chart with over 70 pages of detailed horoscope analysis. It is such high quality. I absolutely love it. They also make amazing birth date candles. You can get it for yourself or as a gift for someone else. So check out the store and use my coupon code Celeste10 for a 10% discount. Go to bit.ly/3PW3NFM. You can find that in the link in the show notes. Enjoy. The theme of this week is Noblesse, Oblige, and there are 3 things I'd like you to consider as you navigate this week. The first is that Virgo season begins on Friday, and so we'll move from 29 degrees of Leo, that's where the sun will be shining a light, to 0 Virgo. Leo rules the special ones like kings, celebrities, performers, and Virgo rules more ordinary people, the people who do the work and serve and are here to help, versus Leo can have air of grandiosity, like I'm here to be served. So the sun at 29 Leo, this degree of crisis and decay, will be shining on the president's ascendant, which speaks to how he's seen by other people. We talk about it being the mask you wear, as well as your vitality, but also think about what you see in the collective related to some kind of real assertion of all, like just trying to get out all of that Leonic energy. So there could be something where the president makes some big statement about something that he's doing that when the sun goes into 0 Virgo could be a new start for workers. The French phrase nobility obligates is how we translate noblesse oblige. It's the idea that those with power and privilege and high status have a moral duty to act generously, responsibly, and honorably towards those less privileged. And we've seen that the current president has no concern, in my opinion, about the common folk. There have been multiple tragedies, even in states where he won the election, like North Carolina and Texas, where the administration is refusing to provide FEMA funds for these people or dragging their feet. It was a big catastrophe in Texas, and there's been a lot of criticism about how the federal government responded to these massive floods that killed people, destroyed homes, and whatnot. So really notice when we're seeing either people of wealth or high status being generous to people with less or not. There may be some big story as the sun moves from the end of Leo to the beginning of Virgo. Virgo's job is to bring order to chaos. It has a gift about spotting flaws and improving systems. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. So even though it's an earth sign and earth is the material world, Mercury, which rules the intellect, rules this sign. People with strong Virgo energy can be practical problem solvers, great analytical thinkers, and love to use their talents to genuinely help people or heal people. They want to service people with their skills. Now, every energy has a shadow side, so shadow Virgo energy is being too perfectionistic, critical, obsessive controlling. These are some of the things we see with shadow Virgo. Or nervous energy. Overthinking things can be shadow energy. So just be aware of these things. We all have Virgo in our chart. You can look to see which house you have Virgo in. I have Virgo in my 3rd house, and my south node's in this sign, so I am very familiar with this energy. We all have high road and low road energy. So just notice, like, what house do you have it on? Virgo on the cusp of, and how does this energy show up in your life? Yeah, and I am an analytical thinker. And my first job out of college was being in tech support, where I practically help people solve problems with equipment and consumables used for scientific research and manufacturing. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that we have a new moon at 0 Virgo on Friday as well. So the sun moves into Virgo and then the moon moves in and still soon catches up. And there is a seeding, a new start at 0 degrees of Virgo, the first degree of the sign. And we're going to have a solar eclipse in Virgo a few weeks later at 29 degrees. So we have this energy of the alpha and the omega. What new start leads to some kind of crisis and decay as we move through this time. And Virgo rules public health and nutrition, farming, social services, workers, bureaucracy. Virgo is mutable earth, and you can think of it as like the topsoil. Notice if you see themes of dust being picked up and swirled around. We may get big news about employment. The president during Mercury retrograde fired the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics because he didn't like the jobs report. Well, he's really not going to like how things unfold, because with these tariffs, companies are losing billions of dollars and layoffs are coming. And then you add in things like artificial intelligence, where jobs are being moved from people to computers. And we're going to be seeing big things about the jobs in Virgo season or after the lunar eclipse. The solar eclipse will open a 6-month cycle. The solar eclipse will be on September 22nd. Armies are Virgo topics, so pay attention to what's happening around the armed forces. Health-wise, Virgo rules the intestines. Diabetics need to be especially vigilant because your liver could be more sensitive. Judith Hill has an incredible book called Eclipses and You. She's a medical astrologer, and she goes through all the signs, and this is one of the issues that can come up with Virgo energy. So if you are diabetic, pay extra attention to your health, and we all need to pay extra attention to our health. You may notice problems with insects, and things could be coming in already. Eclipses, you can see them come in like 6 weeks in advance. And I saw on Instagram a guy who had a termite infestation in his house. They were everywhere. It makes my skin crawl to even think about it. Now, as soon as the sun and moon move into Virgo, the first thing they do after they meet is they're going to square Uranus in Gemini. Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by the planet Mercury, which rules communication, transportation, and commerce. And it's still in the sign of Leo, so there can be very dramatic announcements or people making very bold statements. And it's still in the post-retrograde shadow. So Mercury's at 12 degrees at the new moon, and it went retrograde at 15 degrees. So until August 25th, it's still moving over old ground where events that happened since June 29th may have a repetition or something related to something that happened in the past. And because the new moon is squaring Uranus and Mercury's in a fire sign, really be mindful driving and slowing down, not multitasking is a good thing to do, because Uranus can bring unexpected accidents and sudden upheaval, like you're trying to put on your makeup and do this, that, and the other thing, and you have a little fender bender. So just be especially aware a few days before and after the new moon. And we shall see what happens. I think there could be some kind of power outages or cyber attacks type stuff going on based on setting the chart in Washington, D.C. It puts the new moon in the third house of communication and transportation, and Uranus in the 12th house, which can be secret or hidden stuff. And it really gives the feeling of surveillance with the new moon is in a quincunx to Pluto. So there could be some new surveillance thing launched by government somewhere that has people upset about their privacy or their information or their records being available. And the new moon is forming a yod. And a yod is a chart pattern, which is the finger of God, is what it's called. And on one side of the yod, where the sun and the moon are in quincunx to Pluto in Aquarius. So this can be a recognition of power being put on or pressure from a group of people. And on the other side, Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, and they're at 0 and 1 degree of Aries. And Saturn and Neptune and Pluto are in a sextile, which is opportunistic. So the quincunxes are things that are in your blind spot that you're going to be becoming aware of. People may feel very limited in some way or get upset about something new in terms of technology, feeling like it's intrusive about our ability to have independence. So really watch out for anxiety with this. I wrote down the Serenity Prayer is something to be thinking about at this time, and do whatever you need to do to calm your nervous system. This new moon on August 22nd, where the sun and moon are both at 0 degrees of Virgo, opens a new 27-month cycle where there'll be activations every 9 months. These are great cycles to plan with. So if there's something you're working on that's of the nature of Virgo, or the house you have Virgo in your chart, this is a great time to set intentions about what you want to bring to fruition, come up with an action plan. And there's going to be a first quarter moon where the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Virgo at 2 degrees, so very close to this new moon on May 23rd, 2026. So you may notice that something that starts now has an activation or a pivot 9 months from now. It's called a lunar gestational cycle. It takes 9 months to grow a baby, but you can put that May 23rd as a date for what you want to have accomplished on some of your long-range goals. 9 months after that, where the sun and moon are in opposition at the full moon, where the sun's in Pisces, the moon's in Virgo on February 20th, 2027, both at 2 degrees. Something will be illuminated. And 9 months after that, this is going to slip backwards through the zodiac for the last quarter moon, moving from the mutable signs back into the fixed signs. So the sun will be in Scorpio and the moon in Leo, both at 28 degrees of the respective signs on November 20th, 2027. So this could be like an unveiling. Scorpio is associated with the veil, and the moon in Leo, hey, surprise, look at me showing your stuff. Say you were writing a book and you get it published, and this could be when you're having your book launch party or something like that 2.5 years from now. The Sabian symbol for the new moon is in a portrait. The best of a man's traits and character are idealized. So notice if someone unveils, especially a world leader, a new picture of themselves, or something shows up in the collective with a picture of a leader or a celebrity. It could be a painting, a drawing, a photograph. and someone could try to show their best features. Linda Hill talks about how this symbol could be about projection of beauty, caricatures of people, vanity, and superficial judgments can also come up. Lord, if we find out the president's going to put his face on Mount Rushmore, that would fit with this ridiculous timeline that we're living through. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that we are in eclipse season, and we'll start to see events in our lives and in the collective related to the upcoming eclipses. We're having a lunar eclipse on September 7th at 15 degrees of Pisces. That's an intensified full moon. And then we'll have a solar eclipse on September 21st at 29 degrees of Virgo. That's an intensified new moon. And the solar eclipse opens a new 6-month approximate cycle. These are like bookmarks over larger themes in our lives. And they each have a nature. There's a family called the Saros series, and this is used by astronomers as well as astrologers. The Saros series is a family of eclipses where they last about 1,300 years, and they start at either the North Pole or the South Pole, and then they gradually shift towards the other pole over centuries, and they move about 9 to 11 degrees further by in the zodiac. So they're at different degrees in the zodiac, and potentially over time, they do go through different signs, but they have the same birth chart and the same nature to the eclipses. And Bernadette Brady has delineated all of the Saros series in her book, Predictive Astrology. It's Saros series 9 New South that we're entering. Bernadette Brady says it could bring to the surface long-term worries about loved ones' health or issues to do with paperwork or communication. So I think for the US, there's going to be, and around the world, we're already seeing this. There's a lot going on with visas. Like the United States is going to charge some people, depending what country you're from, up to $15,000 that you have to put as a deposit to make sure you leave the country before your time of your visa has expired. There's also talk about revoking status from certain green card holders. And there's the potential for some people to even lose their citizenship. So there could be other things announced in late September about visas, citizenship, voting rights, voting things you have to have for voting paperwork and things like that. The House of Representatives in the United States passed the SAVE Act, which is designed to safeguard American voter eligibility, and it requires proof of citizenship. And there's a wrinkle there where if you have changed your name and your documentation doesn't match your birth name, you might not be able to vote. This mostly will affect married women who have changed their names. So if you are someone who's changed your name, now is a good time to go and get a copy of your original birth certificate, because you may need it in order to vote, depending on what state you live in. And I would start working to get it now, because I have read online that some people, all of a sudden Alabama can't find their birth certificate, kind of stuff going on. This act may not ever pass the Senate, but if it does, it could be a big problem for people trying to vote in the next election, which will be 2026 midterms. So just keep an eye out when you notice things coming up about these topics. If there's anything going on with your health, I recommend going to the doctor and staying on it. And if you're not getting any answers, get another opinion. Pay attention to what's going on in the collective about health stuff. I mean, I know we're all tired of it, but pay attention not just to COVID spikes, but I am very concerned about this alligator Alcatraz. I was just hearing that a lot of people there are getting sick. And with Saturn and Neptune conjunct, another pandemic is very possible, or just widespread disease, because Saturn rules chronic things, and it can be chronic weakness, and Neptune weakens. And when they come together or square or oppose in people's charts, it's often a time where they're dealing with some kind of health concern. But as a collective, there is a possibility that something could come up. It may not, but being aware can help you be prepared. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 60 or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching, where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. Or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is drama. We start this week with a Gemini moon, a mutable air that's job is to communicate and connect. Gemini rules children, early childhood education, and themes around transportation and your local neighborhood. And it's square the nodes. The north node is at 18 Pisces and the south node 18 Virgo. So if you're dealing with a conversation that starts to get tense, think about how you can move away from the Virgo energy of perhaps being too critical and nitpicky and move towards Piscean energy, being forgiving, showing compassion. Mercury and Leo sextiles Mars and Libra, both at 7 degrees. This could be a lot of chatty energy. Leo brings the drama. Notice if you tell your kid they can't have a second piece of cake, and they come up with a dramatic case for they're presenting to a judge in court about why they deserve this second piece of cake. This is the energy, and you're up against this, and you may see that Virgo versus Pisces in their argument. And I think this could be really cute and funny, and you might give them the second piece of cake. So there could be lighthearted, witty repartee with this energy, or you could use your words to cut someone down to size. So I'd prefer the lighthearted side of this energy. On Monday, the word of the day is adulting. The moon enters the sign of Cancer at 12:04 p.m. This is where the moon is at home and can do what it does with ease, which is feel, emote. And Cancer energy is great for self-care, being nurturing to yourself or others. Great time to take a bath or do something soothing. Do anything with water. Cancer is a water sign, like swimming or drinking extra water. Now, it's a little tense because the moon in Cancer squares Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. They're at 0 and 1 degree, and they're both retrograde. So emotionally, you can be thinking about something in the past where you felt like, oh, you were forced to act in a mature way. Saturn matures, where you felt like Neptune, you weren't really ready and didn't know what to do. But you may feel like you have to take on extra responsibility on this day. On Tuesday, the word of the day is tantrum. The Cancer moon squares Mars at 7 Libra. And then we have a balsamic moon in Cancer at 11 degrees, where the sun is at 26 Leo at 8:37 a.m. Pacific time. Moon square Mars can be an upset stomach. The sign of Cancer rules the stomach, and Mars is problems. Or like someone's burping, they have too much air in their stomach. Libra is an air sign. But this can also be emotions. The moon are upset or angry, Mars. And this could really impact the president of the United States because the sun is on his Mars at 26 Leo. So he may be showing up and showing out. He does so every day. So what is new? But the sun is trine Chiron retrograde at 26 Aries. So there may be a big story about the president of the United States and something with court because the moon meets Jupiter at 15 degrees of Cancer. And Jupiter rules legal affairs where maybe he's mad about something about a court case. On Wednesday, the word of the day is SOGGY. The moon and Venus will meet at 23 degrees of Cancer. And moon Venus can be really nice energy, but Cancer, the water sign, there's just a lot of water. It's like waterlogged. So notice you may be a little extra emotional because then the moon is going to square Chiron in Aries. So like a bunch of emotion can come up, but for healing purposes. Chiron's a wounded healer. The Leo moon begins at 4:16 p.m. So if you were upset, you might notice that your spirits just lit because Leo's fire, exuberant energy. It's dynamic, it's dramatic, it's radiant, it's warm. Like someone could be feeling sad and then someone else who's just like a bright light could give them a huge warm hug. On Thursday, the word of the day is sovereign. This is the day that the sun will be at 29 degrees of Leo. Leo rules royalty, and when people act in a very haughty way, that can be very Leonic. And the moon meets Mercury at 10 Leo. And this is important because the president's Pluto is at 10 Leo, and Mercury is treading over old ground because it is in the post-retrograde shadow. This is also J.D. Vance's sun is at this same degree. So there could be something about power dynamics or some new thing announced by the administration. So keep that in mind with this energy. On Friday, the word of the day is ordinary, and the song Ordinary People by John Legend was playing in my head. Virgo season is from August 22nd to September 22nd. So this is a time where the sun will be spotlighting your Virgo house or houses in your chart. Your focus may turn to health, daily routines and rituals, getting organized, decluttering, and Venus in Cancer on this day squares Chiron in Aries. They're both at 26 degrees. Chiron can wound or heal. This could be, you could see something about an emotional woman talking about she's having sinus problems. Aries rules the head. But there's going to be some story in the collective related to this transit. And it could be related to health, or Virgo also rules workers. So there could be big news about workers. And when Venus is activated, because the United States midheaven is Libra, there can often be a story related to the country's president or the executive branch. The moon enters Virgo at 10:23 p.m. Pacific time. And then the new moon is at 0 Virgo at 11:06 p.m. Pacific time. New moons are times to set intention. There may be news about someone prominent who has health concerns or is making a health announcement. Maybe something from your government could be talking about health issues. On Saturday, the word of the day is swelling. The Virgo sun will quincunx Saturn retrograde in Aries, both at 0 degrees. Quincunxes are adjusting aspects where we need to release something and let go of it, and they move us into new situations. And oftentimes we'd rather not release it. Aries rules the head. Quincunxes can often be health aspects. It's at 0 degrees. 0 degrees of Aries is a world point. So there may be news in the collective related to this. Now, Jupiter in Cancer is semi-square Uranus and Gemini. I got like a water imagery. That's why swelling is the word. Like someone could be experiencing edema, could be something that comes up. The sun in Virgos also squares Uranus and Gemini on this day. So there's going to be something related to this transit. Gemini rules the wrists and the hands up through the shoulders. So really just maybe this is a good time to do some stretching of those areas of your body. But just be prepared. There can be unexpected little hiccups in communications. It's a great idea to make sure you keep your phone and other things charged in case there is any kind of like power outage around this time. Uranus can bring sudden events or sudden breaks of things. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology in action stories about how the week is playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.